Welcome to GROGTALK. I'm James.
I'm Dan.
And look, we have not just one little figure, we have two figures today, all from the Great White North, our friends from Canada. It's a whole, all Canada all the time. We did not get our, what was the food we were supposed to eat?
I never heard of it. I remember it.
Poutine? What's that?
Poutine. Poutine.
Yes, people are like, we put a poll up, and we put a beaver tail, Caesar.
You put.
The poutine and something else.
Canadian bacon, which is
bacon, which is basically, so of course they mocked us, and they said it's just basically ham, so.
Mocked you.
Well, that's true, they mocked me. So.
We should introduce our guest.
We should introduce, and where are we from today?
We are from the Dragon's Lair.
Oh, from the Dragon Lair, awesome.
Does that mean anything to you guys? The Dragon's
Lair?
Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll talk about
that.
We'll talk about that. So yes.
So let's introduce our guest.
So today on our show, we're very happy to have Kelly Villemaire, the creator of First Encounter magazine that was published in 1982 and 1983, as well as the writer of the Lair of Medusa module. And we also have Eric Hotz, who was the illustrator for much of First Encounter magazine, as well as the Lair of Medusa module, and is currently a full-time illustrator, artist, and creator designer. And they are both in Canada. So welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome. Good morning and good evening, whatever it is for you all.
Yeah.
I live in the central Canada, and he lives on the west coast.
Okay, well, so good morning and good night, basically, for Eric.
So what we like to do here, so James and I, just to give you a little bit of background, we got back into D&D after being out of it for 25, 30 years. And what we love now is, with the internet, the ability to discover things that we didn't know about back in the day. And one of those things that we discovered was First Encounter magazine and the Lair of Medusa module. And so we're really looking forward to asking you guys about that. Maybe you could each start by telling us a little bit about how you got into role-playing games. And maybe, Kelly, maybe start with you.
I'm a big fan of the figures. Okay, I went to this guy's place. I didn't really care for him, and and I said, "Where'd you get those?" He says, "Down at the mall." Now, this is a long time ago. The figures at the time were 60 cents a piece. Now they're a lot more. So I went there and I spent $60 the first day.
Wow.
And I bought the first original Monster Manual. Okay? I had never played the game, but I knew a bit about it. But I lived in Regina at the time, which is central Canada. Yeah, that. Now, see that book? My goal was to have, in miniatures, every monster from that book. The hard fine, but I have every figure from there. And my guys that played were afraid because they knew if it said 40 to 400 orcs, I would have 400 orc figures. I could whip that against them. So that was my goal, to have all those figures. So I was into the figures first, and I used to take them on the road with me and paint them. And I would read the Monster Manual all the time. And when I moved to Vancouver, which is like the gaming capital of Canada, I went to a wargaming club. And there weren't a lot of D&D guys there, but...
Yeah, hold on.
Or didn't care for the D&D. Hear that?
Yeah, you broke up just a second. Sorry.
Okay. The wargamers didn't care for the D&Ders, and they made us go on the stage. It was like a gym, but there was a stage, and we were like second-class citizens. We had to go on the stage. They didn't want to be near us. Isn't that true?
Oh, that is true. Yeah. Because I know the club you're talking about, because I still belong to it.
Yeah.
Do you still make the RPGers play on the stage?
No, they're actually pretty mainstream now. They play 5th edition, but there's at least 2 or 3 groups that play now.
Okay.
Awesome. Go ahead, Kelly. That's funny.
Which is silly, because it is miniature gaming. It's still gaming. I don't know why they were chastised like that. I think it's silly.
Well, everyone's got, I guess, look down on somebody, I guess. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kelly.
So I used to have, one time we played every friggin' night, D&D, at my place when I started playing. I've only bought one module, the Keep of the Borderlands, B1 I think that is. just to get it. And I read through it to get an idea of how it's done. Okay. And then I seen some people play, and that's where I got the idea. Now, I've never run a module. I've always done my own ideas, all original, with my warped sense of humor, as you know about. So that's just what I do. To today, even today, with the guys that I have playing, they're spoiled because it's all original. And I have all the figures. I build my own sets, mountains, hills, rivers, buildings, my own storylines on a computer, and the figures. If there's going to be 400 orcs, I got to have 400 orc figures, and they know that. So I was in the miniatures first. Speaking of miniatures, I have to say this. Eric killed me because I went to see, I used to visit him at his house, and we'd be talking, and he just casually picks up this toothpick and starts painting with it. And I've never seen anybody paint with a toothpick before. And he's unerring painting skills. He's very modest about it, but he blew me away. His painting skills with a toothpick. I've never seen anybody do that.
So,
very talented.
So Eric, so maybe you could let us know this. So you mentioned that you had played D&D in high school because obviously you're known for your artwork now, but you were also a player.
Yeah, I started Kelly went to the Trumpeter Club, and that's where I started. In 1976, in February 1976, I joined the Trumpeter Club, and there's a whole bunch of guys who play all board games, miniature games, but also D&D, and that's how I got introduced to the white box with the 3 little booklets. And so I introduced some of my friends in high school to do that. So we played that for about 3-4 years, and that's how I got into playing D&D originally.
Okay, and when did you first start getting into art? Were you doing art at that time?
I was doing all through high school, but I was first published in the Space Gamer magazine when I was in grade 12. I sent some artwork in, and I got published in July 1979.
Oh, that's very impressive.
That's my first time I ever got published, and then I got published in the second edition. And then I went to art school. Then I didn't have time to do that until I got out of art school.
Right. Okay. Great. And so you guys were gaming together. No, you were not gaming.
No, we didn't. I never saw him at the Trumpeter Club. It's kind of one of those things we probably just missed each other like 2 ships in the night.
Okay. So how did you guys first get introduced to each other then?
Eric, I think, sent me a letter. Am I right?
No, somebody told you at Ben's shop about you were looking for artists.
Right.
And Ben knew somebody, so he asked somebody. I don't know who it was, and he knew me, and I don't know who that was. And then I got a phone call when I was working, because I worked in archaeology. I was up north. I got a phone call from the payphone that somebody wanted to talk to me, and it was somebody saying, "Yeah, if you get back into Vancouver, you got to talk to this Kelly. Here's his phone number. Talk to him. He wants you to work on his magazine." Because I think your first edition already came out, and you wanted someone for the second, third onward.
Yeah,
that's how I got. And then I got out archaeology at almost the exact same time you started working on your second edition.
Yes, that's true. I think you came on board with the second edition. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I think I've done some research, but I think I have an idea of how desperate Kelly was for an artist. On the back of one of the issues, number 7. So you got to do real research. Always look at the back cover. When you look at the back cover, your annual is coming out, and it has pictures of the covers of each of the first 4.
Yes.
And on number 1, it says
no cover.
No cover, and it says, I don't know if you know any of this. Maybe I shouldn't disclose this to Eric. He's going to be like, wait, I thought you mean I was the only one that applied?
Yeah.
So it says cover contest. Send in your art. It could be the next. So this brings us to, of course, First Encounter magazine, which was published in 82 and 83. And Kelly, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about when you decided and why you decided to do a fanzine.
I'm a big fan of the Dragon magazine when it came out, but I still felt it was lacking something. And we always came across problems in gaming that we thought they haven't covered. People didn't know what the pole arms look like or the siege engines. They're just words. And so I tried to cover a bit more details about that. Poor Eric. You're a poorly paid artist for the work you did.
I know that part.
True. I gave whatever I could, but most of the money I got, I kept sinking back into the magazine. Okay,
Yeah.
I kept sinking my money back into it to better the quality of the print job. I had a lot of learning. It did get better.
Yeah.
You got to remember, okay, this is in the early '80s. Okay, the first 2 issues, maybe the first 3 issues, I produced on an electronic or electric typewriter, an IBM typewriter. No computers back then.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
It's true. So I couldn't do justified right-hand margins like you'd see in a newspaper, okay? It's just left-hand margins, no justified right. And then by issue 3 or 4, I met this guy. I can't remember his name, but he would and he would word processor, and then I'd lay it out. But there was always typos I had to get corrected, and grammatical and layout problems, because it's the more hands, the more problems, right? But he did a good job, and that was part of what I had to do to improve the quality. It was always, every issue, I tried to improve more pages, thicker paper, whatever I could. Eric was great because I would say, this is what I want on the cover. This is what I want inside on it, and he'd do it. He'd do exactly what I told him. He always blew me away. You were showing me the number 4 with the normal. I want to know him being. Yeah, I said I want to know him being attacked by a bugbear. I just told him that, and he comes up with that. I love that. That's what he always did.
And just and to defend Kelly not paying you as well as you should have been paid, I noticed. I'm going to defend you here. I noticed that the magazine was free originally.
Yes, it was.
So it's not like you were getting rich off of First Encounter magazine.
No, I had it where I would the shops would get copies of them to give to their best clients, and depending on their ad, say they put a half card size ad, they got 25 copies. If they did a card size, they got 40 copies. If you did a full page ad, you got 200 copies. So the bigger the ad, the more copies you got to give to your customers, and that's the way I kept it free as long as I could, and then we went to $2 on number 6 or 7. I can't remember.
Yes,
and it was another issue.
And so Eric, maybe you can jump in and tell us. So when you were asked about the possibility of drawing for First Encounter, what was your reaction, and how did you then ultimately agree to do it?
Well, it's just something I'm interested in doing. Because at that point, I was working for college professors on archaeology sites, doing government site reports, doing artifact illustration, and a lot of what Kelly was asking me to do was like you had like pole arms, you had swords and arrows. You want to do diagrams of those. Well, that's all done to the Canadian standard of archaeology illustration. So I just rendered it to that. So a lot of what he was getting me to do was what I was doing for archaeology professors, and in the same style. And then I didn't mind doing the fantasy stuff because it's also what I'm interested in, medieval fantasy work.
And it looks like, the first edition that had artwork on the cover, it looks like it was issue number 2, and I don't know if you're clearly, I can tell you're number 3 for sure. I mean that looks exactly like your work. I can't remember. It's not.
It's
clear.
hard for them to see.
Is that a castle picture?
Let's see if we. Hold on.
That's my the castle one's also my illustration.
Okay, so that was the first. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. And that's what I call what would be like cartoon style.
This is the one you have to point.
Oh,
to.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're new to
this little guy right here. Don't. See, we have 2 cameras. We have one for the internet, and we have one to talk to you. And so, of course, Dan's pointing to the other one. So that's why I'm quiet. I'm like the wizard behind the thing right now. So I apologize.
So where should I hold this? So this is
you
number 3.
You should hold that right there. There you go. You
Yeah.
Yes.
One of my favorites. One of my favorites.
So you can just look.
I think we did.
Oh yeah, I see right there.
That was on.
Yeah. So there's number 3.
The swords. Yeah.
Because I was at VCon last year, and they had that one for sale. And one of the booksellers was selling that for $75. The magazine.
Oh wow.
That it did, number 2. They had them all, including I think also the role playing module. So I don't know where they got it from, but they had them all on plastic wrap, and they were selling them. and I hadn't seen them as a set like that in years.
John Edwards found the first issue for $90 on the internet. I couldn't believe it. It's one of my worst, but what can you do?
And there's number 4.
On the quality got so much better. I don't even have a number 5. I don't even know what it looks like.
Well,
can't remember.
We'll get a picture for you. And so, unfortunately, I left this here. And when I came back, James had colored in the cape.
I did not color it. No,
somebody did. But
I did not.
Yeah, so somebody colored it.
That's good.
What I like about this, Eric, if I asked what I like, I noticed looking at this last night, this is the only actual copy that I have of all these. The other ones are just going to be pictures. Is you've got a die down there, which I thought was a nice.
Oh yeah, I think somebody suggested. I think it was John Edwards that suggested that. Just always put some little object in there, and he said just do a dice, put a dice somewhere in the cover. That way people have to go look for it.
Yes.
I think the dice is in every single cover. I think it's one of those hidden sort of.
Yes,
almost
I
like
think
a puzzle.
he did that. Yeah, he did. We'd look for that. People would look for that little things. John Edwards, I have to give a big thank out to because he drove right across Canada and picked up contacts right across Canada for my magazine, like Regina and Saskatchewan, and he just went over. He was very instrumental in spreading it and making it a coast-to-coast Canadian gaming magazine.
Was that like a day trip to go from?
Oh God,
Like
no.
half an hour?
Yeah, something like that.
Half an hour.
It's not that.
I'll tell you about the.
It takes forever to get through Ontario. Ontario's like Georgia. It takes forever to get through it.
Well, we know Georgia. It does.
I've driven the
Yeah, we know
states, so
Georgia.
Georgia takes
Georgia
forever
never
to get through.
ends.
It never ends.
And here comes number 5. I think this is a very cool. They're all very cool. I really like this one too. Yeah. This is right. It's a ship batter.
I don't have that copy.
I haven't seen that one in years. That one.
I don't have it.
Yeah, that's.
I'm sure I have every copy, but I don't know where they are, and I haven't come across that issue in a long time.
Oh, so you have them somewhere in your house?
Yeah, I have in my studio. I have a storage container. They're usually there, but I never throw them out, so I know they're around. I haven't actually come across that edition in quite a while, so maybe it's lost. I don't know.
So Eric, there is a running thing when we have guests. We ask them what kind of archive, ancient treasures that should something happen to you, or if we come by your town.
We usually have to ask your address. At
Right,
this
we
point,
usually
don't
ask
we?
your address and where
We have
you're
something
at.
to send you.
Yes, we have some packages. We want to send you a nice gift, and then we come in and see if we can help ourselves with something. No, we're just kidding. It was an awkward moment. We were talking to one of our.
I have a storage unit with because when you do work for TSR, they give you like 5 copies.
Oh, I got you.
And I never got rid of them, so I have like 5 copies of everything I did, and it fills up like 3 or 4 bookshelves. So I do have treasure in a sense.
Nice.
Well, now I'm looking for the die. I can't find the die. Now it's like, where's Waldo? And there's something down.
Pretty sure it's in every one.
Oh boy. Well, I've only got a.
It's actually the same. The color of the cover is dead on. That's the light blue. That you must have got that off the internet somewhere because it's the right color.
Yeah. It is. Well, what this is from, I think, you can find photos of these, and then, of course, for places that would sell them if they were available, and then it says, of course, not available. There's a couple issues available. I think they're about $30 on one of the sites. But I love that color. So what would you say? So, Kelly, what would you say to Aaron when you wanted this cover? So was the idea for the cover always your idea, Kelly, and then Eric would draw it, or would sometimes?
There was the theme for that was Corsairs, I think, right? Pirates and Corsairs or something. There was always a theme for every issue. And I said to Eric, do some sort of ship battle or something. And that's how vague it was. And I said, Eric, and he'd do it. And he surprised me.
Okay, here's my absolute favorite.
Okay.
And this is available for $30. I'm thinking of actually getting this.
Canadian or U.S.?
U.S.
Okay.
Just for the cover. Nothing personal, Kelly. But just for the cover. I love this one.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
That's sensational. Have you seen it?
He did this with his girlfriend at the time, April.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Because April does great horses. She's into horses, and so I think you split that with her, right?
No. She just complained about it.
It would have been awkward if she had actually done it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is my favorite. Oh yeah, that's not me. That's April.
That's it.
Well, she drew some horses for that issue. Remember, it was about horses.
She did. That's true. She did do horses in the issue, but she didn't do the cover. But she did draw the horses inside the magazine. That issue was drawn by her. I think she got credited for it too.
I think I might have actually given her a bit of money, but I don't remember for sure. I doubt it. Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I forgot I even did that one.
Eric penciled that, and I got this guy Denrick to ink it. Like, you know how comic books, you have a penciler and then they have an inker.
Oh yeah.
So I had some guy ink it, and they complemented each other really well. I liked it. I don't know. I just liked the hell out of that. It was all about angels, that issue. You can't talk about now. They're divas or whatever.
And here's my second favorite one, because it's got a severed head.
Oh yeah, that one.
Which one is that?
I love how, with D&D people.
Zoom it up a little bit.
Number 8?
Yes, the last
I
one.
don't even have
That's the
that.
last one. Yeah.
I don't have.
Well, this is just a picture. I'm not holding the actual I only have number 4 as the actual magazine. I just printed these out.
Because the artwork was getting better and better as I got more used to doing the style.
I love how with D&D people, when you show them a picture of a severed head, they're just like, oh yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
that's good. Nice work. Nice work on the entrails.
And so we also have people online. They're very excited having both of you on. So David Thompson, our Chamberlain Most August, we give our titles to our patrons from Australia. He had a question. What is the inspiration for the articles? That you have. We have the thing you're making me go through the. How do you be a gnome illusionist or whatever that?
Yeah. So Kelly, you may remember the Have You Ever Played a series where you would be a gnome illusionist fighter, for example, and you'd give various questions.
You'd have usually 10 choices on every.
I'm almost dead.
I did.
So how did you come up with that? Was you're doing a fledgling magazine, which again is pretty amazing.
Honestly, don't remember.
Okay.
I just thought that would be neat. A gnome thief illusionist or whatever. That would be cool. We did one with a paladin. We just thought it'd be something different and cool. And I probably had a guy that played something like that to inspire me.
Okay.
Like a character.
Because we were going to quiz you on what answer 4 was for the second scenario and see if you remembered that, but apparently you don't, so we won't do that to you.
No.
Say, oh yeah, no, you got to take. Oh yeah, you like us going through it and dying.
That's right.
You're a typical DM, my friend.
Exactly.
And then we come to.
I love the Lair of Medusa. I love that.
And so so this is.
This
As
is
you can see,
legitimate.
look, this is the real deal.
That's right.
It's a nice shape too.
It's on loan. So a shout out to Alan GRODOG, a collector of many old school modules. And so this is on loan from him. So don't spill anything on this, all right?
I'm standing over here.
Being
I'm
big-
going to be out of the picture.
Yeah,
See?
don't touch this.
Yeah.
Don't put your greasy.
Don't even look at it. It's Spinal Tap.
Don't
I can't
put
even
your
look at
greasy
it.
hands
I'm not
on
even looking
this.
at it.
All right. So
Well,
this.
I got to tell you, in producing that, I had 2 partners, John Edwards and Ben Brownjohn of Dragon's Lair. You talked about Dragon's Lair. Ben Brownjohn had a retail store. So they were my business partners. We used to have business meetings. And I had a big fight with them about that issue because I wanted to do the cover in green. And they said no, blue. So I lost that argument, number 2-1. And I was really pissy about that because I thought green would be better.
I like the blue.
It's all about marketing.
I like blue. I think it's a cool color. So
Yeah, I like the art and the fact that Eric gave that Medusa big knockers.
Exactly.
Yeah, you specified that.
I think are we gonna get in trouble with the FCC just for holding this up? I think we may lose our. Wait, do we need a license? No, we're on I don't think YouTube. You need a license, do you? So, okay, so all right, maybe you could talk other than Kelly asking for a well-endowed Medusa. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the artwork, which I just think is fantastic.
We went to. I remember going to a meeting at Ben's store in his little meeting room behind the common room behind the counter. It was Edwards. Somebody else was there. And then it was also Ben Brownjohn. And it was basically Ben was the one that seemed to really want to push for the cover looking like that. We were doing all these doodles on paper and stuff. So it was about an hour before we solidified what they wanted. It was actually a good meeting. I never had a bad meeting with anybody. It was always fun and jokes, and it was a fun atmosphere, which made up for not getting paid. So it was
at all.
fun.
So it wasn't an issue of not getting paid well.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really do it for the money. I did it for the experience, because that's what I still do that today. I take on jobs just for the experience, even though I know I won't get paid very well. Sometimes it's just the experience.
Yeah.
I think I may have found an illustrator for my Gnome Realms,
That's right, for
my
the Gnome
project.
Yeah.
Our meetings were at the stripper bar, so Eric we saved him on that one.
Yeah, I didn't go to the stripper bar.
No, our meetings were at the stripper bar sometimes.
Who would have known? Dungeons and Dragons and strip clubs. What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I want to say, see these art here, right there. The one with the trees.
Yes.
I would simply tell Eric, because that's exactly the map. That corresponds with the map to the left. The see it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I just say to Eric, "Can you draw that?" And he did that, and he always impressed me. It was that vague. I just give him vague instructions. Do that, and look what he produced. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
And if you go further, you were asking about the plantos, right?
Yeah. So we have a new. Yep.
Oh, right there.
See the plantos? Okay. I don't know if Eric knows this. I'm one of the few people in the world that have the figure.
Oh, wow.
There it is.
See it?
Yep.
I have 3 of them. Just like in the thing. There's 3 of them. Okay.
Look at that. That's awesome.
See it?
Yes.
It's very glossy paint. It's not very good. It's old Humbrol paint. But the truth is, I went to Portland, Oregon, to a store, and this is a John Carter Mars figure that was out of production, like ancient, and I got this for a couple of dollars, and I thought, this is so different and cool, I'm going to put it in there. But I swear I'm the only person in Canada that owns one of these. I don't know about the States, because I got this in Portland.
Okay.
But that's sort of neat. And so I think I don't know if Eric, I must have given you a picture of it, right? I must have given you the
You may have shown me the miniature actually in one of the meetings.
Yeah, I must have.
I do remember seeing the miniature.
You got it dead on.
So hold on just a second. So we got another. So that's a good segue. So did you, Kelly or Eric, did you guys play D&D in the States if you ever came down? And how different was the culture of Dungeons and Dragons in Canada versus the United States? If you could talk about that. And I'll go, Kelly, you can go first, and then Eric, if you can.
I can't comment. I've never been in the States. I don't know if Eric has, but I don't. I can't even comment.
I went to Dragonflight, but I was assisting putting on a game, so I didn't actually play it. I was like the person handing out the scenarios and answering questions, and the GM was playing the game, so I was more of an assistant, but I did go down to the States. But I'm used to playing with my friends from high school, and down to Dragonflight, you're getting sometimes they 12-player games. Mm-hmm. You never met these people before, so it is a different atmosphere there. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that the American and Canadian is different at all. I would say they're almost identical.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Unless they're talking politics or
well,
something.
that's a whole different story. That's right.
Yeah.
That's very good. So go ahead, continue your inquisition of our guests.
Yeah, I always come with a list of questions. So, Kelly, I know that there were some other adventures that were planned. So, for example, on the back of Lair of Medusa, it says, "Coming soon, Battle for Dwarf Mountain."
That was planned, but I got to admit, I just pulled the plug on everything. The magazine, the modules, I pulled the plug and I moved back east. So that's what pretty well happened. And I got all pissy, I guess it would be the word. I got pissy because when you like the artistic part of something, you should just stick to it. But when you got to do the business part of it, it gives you a sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I wouldn't know anything about that. You're right.
Yeah, that's right. We're about at that point.
Yeah.
Now.
Because he just shows up.
That's not true.
He says, "Hey, Eric's going to come on at he's been up all night. Let's get this working. I'm like, sure, whatever it takes, no problem, buddy.
Look at this research
I
I've
know
done.
this is true.
And so we've also got, and you also had play coming soon,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I forgot about that one too.
Yeah.
I forgot all
So here's the question, Kelly. Are these adventures in draft form somewhere in your closet or basement?
They're long gone.
Oh.
They were done on my typewriter.
Wow.
Your Royal typewriter.
I had a lot of flipping damage to a lot of my stuff too. So a lot of stuff did not make it.
So you, tell us a little bit. So you decided, you got a little bit bitter, you said, because it's 8 issues, correct? And then I think it comes to an end. And did you go cold turkey? So you're back in gaming now.
Okay, I don't like to lie, so I don't even think Eric knows this. I got really pissy because I had a deal, and I take people at their word. You know what I mean? At their word.
Right.
And I had a deal with some stores where I would supply them with the magazines, and they would sell them and send me my money. Okay. And they wouldn't renew them, and they'd say, well, they didn't sell. Yet I had people from those exact cities saying that store sold out like that.
Wow.
Mm.
So instead of looking at a long-term business arrangement with me, it was, let's screw these Canadians. If I sound bitter, it's because it's not the crime of the century. They owe me like $40 or something. but what I said to myself, I'm not dealing with people like this anymore, and I got a bad taste in my mouth because I had a lot of ambition. We were right across Canada, and then I was working my way down the West Coast, and we went down to Portland, and I was going to go down to California next. So, because that's all gaming area, eh? Washington and Seattle, and but that's the truth. That is the truth of why I pulled the plug. I just went. I had a bad, bitter taste in my mouth about that, and unfortunately, it's like throwing a hand grenade. And my fans took the brunt of that because I did have some fans that liked it, and poor Eric and the other people that were working with me. I just sort of I moved back. That was it. To this very day, when people don't pay their bills, I get ugly about it. Their bills are due.
Well,
What time frame is this? Because
83.
83?
1983, correct?
83. I moved back here in December of 84. But during that time, I remember working with one of my brothers, and he trained me how to do desktop publishing. So during that period, I learned how to work a computer. I was one of the first people to have an Apple, my brother and I. And I've had Macs ever since, Mac computers. And desktop publishing is the greatest thing, right? One man can produce whatever. But you got to remember, I started off on a friggin' typewriter, the whole thing. And then I had to rely on people with a word processor, and they weren't much better, early word processors. If you ever, we had to lay out the thing. It was on graph paper, blue graph paper, and with glue, prick glue. Do our layout and glue it, and then if it's not straight, pull it off and put it back on. It was very crude, by today's standards.
What were you going to say?
Cam Munn, he's one of the writers, right? Cam he has to have credit, and John, they helped me out with the layouts. It was a group thing, and Ben Brown, John, and Ben and I are both old, and we both have health issues. And Rolly is a friend of mine, and he talks. It's funny because he talked to Ben about me, and Ben says, "Oh, that poor bastard." And then when he told me about Ben, I said, "Oh, that poor bastard." We both say the same thing about that poor bastard.
Well,
you're very much like that,
Well, the good news is, even though First Encounter magazine went away and Eric didn't have the opportunity to continue to do work for First Encounter magazine, Eric, you obviously did continue in the industry quite successfully. So maybe you can talk a little bit, because I know you've done work for a lot of the big companies in the industry.
Well, I started when I guess it was John Fraser did your layout the last time, and John was basically a writer, not really a layout person, and he heard about Columbia Games was hiring, and I had just finishing up at SFU in I guess '84 or spring term at university. And John phoned me up and said, "Hey, you should send a portfolio to these guys." And all I had to send them was all my stuff from First Encounter. And even though they didn't like that work, it's got my foot in the door and allowed me to start talking to them face to face. And then I went home that weekend, and they said, "Well, we'll come back in a week with some new stuff." So I came back with some new stuff, a little more advanced, a little more realistic. But the First Encounter is what got me going and got my foot in the door. And that's how I started. And then long story short, I eventually became the art director for Columbia Games just by working with their graphic artist until he quit. And then I just took over for him. And then within 3 years, I was their art director. And then I was doing all sorts of work, maps, layout, and book covers, and then expanding my ability to do artwork. But it's all because of First Encounter, really. Even though I did some work for Space Gamer, I don't count that because I just handed work in and they said, "Yeah, that's it." But working with Kelly gave me an idea of how to work to someone's ideas. And that's exactly what Columbia was. They have this meeting and they start doling out ideas and they ask you your input. Well, that's a lot. The first time I had to do that was with Kelly. So I had some experience. So it helped a lot starting with Kelly and then branching out from there.
And I don't know if the listeners heard when we were getting this together that Kelly and Eric haven't spoken for 30-something years.
Right, because I think Eric owes Kelly $40.
That's right.
No, I'm kidding. No, that's not why.
Right, Kelly? That's right.
This is a reconciliation.
Right.
It was 1984. It was back in '84 last time before I moved back east.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I just found out yesterday. That he was working with TSR. I didn't know he was doing work with TSR. I just found out. That's a good gig.
Yeah, I started in '87 doing for the Dungeon magazine, and then I was doing some of their mapping and poster stuff right up to when they got bought out by Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah,
that's like 10 years working for TSR.
Because the reality
a lot
is,
of freelance bases.
A lot of us have Eric Hotz's work.
I have Dungeon magazine, but I don't have yours. I'll have to see if I have one of yours back from 1987.
I did some work in there, and then I also worked. Then I started branching like Lion Rampant. Then Lion Rampant became White Wolf, so I started doing work for them. And then they just by I guess around 1992, 93, I was working on 3 or 4 projects a month for all sorts of companies for 5 solid years. Just tons of work coming in, and it was like 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It was just lots and lots and lots of illustration work and mapping work, and so. But again, it all started with First Encounter.
Yeah, and for those of our listeners that don't know, so Columbia Games, right? That was Harn World, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh wow. That's
cool. And Harn World, that was my idea because they had Harn, but nobody knew what Harn was. I said, you need a name for the whole product. At a meeting, they said they never thought of that, so they came up with Harn World. They said, you got Harn, you got Lithia, you got Shorkine, and Ivinia. Nobody knows what those are. Why don't we just call it Harn World, and then you can sell it as a product. So I was because I was art director. Actually, I had to say. So yeah, it was fun. So I did work for Columbia Games for 16 years. I worked for Columbia Games.
Okay,
awesome.
Fantastic. And I would be remiss if I did not ask about this mysterious organization called DELF.
Police Department.
Kelly, what? So, because I've noticed, right, Lair of Medusa it's a DELF module.
Yeah.
And it's officially approved by DELF. And
we did like that.
And before you let us know and disclose what DELF is, I'm going to let you know some of the information that I have found on the Google about DELF.
Okay.
And so now you can confirm whether or not this information is accurate. The quote, DELF accreditation was extremely rare and highly sought after by the gaming industry. Guy Gax admitted in his last days that his one regret in life was that he failed to achieve recognition from the Council of DELF. And a second piece of it, so here's the next piece of information. Quote, DELF, if I remember correctly, stood for the Dungeon Ecological Life Federation. Gygax, with all his Gygaxian ecology, failed the entrance exam when he placed the dragon in a 10 by 10 foot room next to the orc with a pie. Sad story, but true. So true or false?
Those are highly entertaining, and they're killing me. They're cracking me up, and I like the sound of them. Maybe one of them is true. The Gary Gygax part.
So what was Delft?
You're rocking my brain because this is so long ago, but the truth of it is, you know what it is, Eric, eh?
Yeah, I remember Ben. I remember Ben was telling me where you got the name from. I think Ben came up with the name.
Yeah, it's our abbreviations of our names. Hold on.
Who were those guys?
I mean,
Where are you?
I got it now. I
don't see a K or a V.
It's a mixture of Dragon's Lair and First Encounter. Take First Encounter, take it from the right. You take Dragon's Lair from the left. That's what it is. It's a mixture of Dragon, because Ben was my distributor for my magazine. He distributed. I hated that kind of work. So it's a mixture. I totally forgot about that. Mixture of Dragon's Lair and First Encounter. That's the truth. Now you know the real story.
30-year mystery.
35, almost 35.
Almost
35
year mystery
solved.
Is solved.
Here on GROGTALK. Who would have thought?
So there wasn't really a Delft enterprise. I mean, there was sort of.
Why are you pulling the curtain?
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Why are you doing that?
Because that's what we do. We're like 60 minutes.
No, we're not 60 minutes.
We're 4 hours.
We found something, be it this anagram, this anagram, now we have something behind. Why do you want to know more about it?
Just let it go.
Let it.
I like your stories better. The Gary Gygax one was really
there you
good.
Go. That to me, let things. There could be another time they could come on and ruin it. Right now,
I gotcha.
Can't take it all.
Was the cover for Battle of Dwarf Map more Google research?
Yes, you can Google.
Done by Eric, by your wife, or because I know you'd mentioned your girlfriend at the time. So the Battle for Dwarf.
Yeah, a girlfriend wife. She was a girlfriend at the time. She did the illustrations for that.
I got you.
Her name's April, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, April. Yeah,
I'm not married
I couldn't
anymore.
remember.
Yeah. She lives in the United States. She's also an artist. She had an art show last September, so she does art.
Well, as you can tell from the whole Delft business, I think the great thing about First Encounter and about Lair of Medusa is that Kelly really did display quite a sense of humor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of entertaining stuff in there. It's a good module. Just to let you know, Eric, what I found on the internet, somebody says a good, solid hack and slash dungeon crawl that is fun to play. One person listed it as one of their top 5 non-TSR adventures. I've run it. It is a lot of fun to play. What I liked about it is that, number one, it's not too long. I really don't like some of these modules that are 100 pages and it takes 2 months to run. You can run this thing, and I would think you probably need 2. I ran it in a session. Probably need 2 sessions to do it justice.
Yeah.
But it's not too long. And what I also liked about it is that you had a lot of different characters and creatures in there that could really create for some interesting role playing if you wanted to.
Did that have giant cockroaches in there? Because I can't remember.
Yes.
Did I put giant cockroaches?
You sure did. And so this is what I did when I ran this. I said, well, and one of the rumors of the Goblin Palace is that it's even now infested with cockroaches. And the players all laughed. And then they sort of thought, wait, this is D&D.
Yeah.
You just add giant to everything.
Right.
And they're like, wait, what if they're giant cockroaches?
Or humongous.
Or humongous.
That's right.
And what I liked about it even better, Kelly, because this is strange, because you've never been to the States, we assumed you'd been to Florida, is they fly.
Yes, I do know that. A quick story. I had my friend go to Los Angeles, and I went to Florida, and we had a contest who would come back with the biggest cockroach.
Oh, you'd win.
Remember that? Remember? And I won because I was at a Denny's restaurant, and underneath the high chair was a huge dead cockroach, and I put him in a bag and brought him back.
Yeah. The cockroaches carry away children here.
So that was the inspiration? Do you still have that, like the Plathos?
Yes, the figures?
No, the cockroach.
The cockroach figure. Have you made it a figure?
No, God, no. I just wanted to win the contest. I got rid of it.
Yeah.
But I should had it bronze.
So you brought invasive species back to Canada. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're admitting that on the internet now. Okay.
If I was to update it nowadays, I would have them as giant bed bugs, because bed bugs are worse than roaches any day.
You got that right.
And what I also liked about it, because you did have a lot of fun monsters, you had a giant walking stick.
Yeah.
In the tree.
Isn't that cool?
That's very cool. They didn't go up to the tree though. So in my party didn't go up to the tree. So they never saw a giant cockroach. You know how it is. Those players, they'll take their own path.
Well, very cool.
They're great. Like there's a picture in there of a wizard, and he's got an owl flying up in the air in the Lair of Medusa. You remember that, Eric? I told Eric to do that. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yes, he surprised the shit out
And then move
with
on.
that photo.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other side.
Oh,
Yeah.
Back it up.
And this owl is squawking off the perch because I think he surprised some sort of wizard there, and he's behind a table.
Show it to these guys.
I just vaguely told him what I wanted, and he did that, and that one cracked me up.
Here, to our friends.
Yeah, that was great.
Trying to do it where they can see it because the light's pretty bad. Is that
And the
better? There we go.
storeroom, same with the storeroom.
There we
Something simple like that. I like that. You know, you don't have to have a monster in the room all the time. It was a lot of fun doing that.
So for those who are not in the business, like us,
Yeah.
back in this day, to produce the Lair of Medusa, how much time and cost would that be back in that time? And how many of those would you need to sell to break even?
I don't think I broke even on that.
Okay, never mind. I'm sorry.
I did. No, I did. The more you print, the cheaper it is, per issue.
Right.
And I think the printing bill on that was $2,000.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
I'm starting.
The print, I think we printed maybe 5,000. I'm not sure. I can't remember. So long ago, but we went big. For us, that was big.
Yeah.
5 printed, and for $2,000, that's pretty pricey still. So we had to figure out our
Hold on. Is
for $6, right? Suggest retail.
there a suggested retail on there?
There's not.
Okay.
Though I think we're starting to see a theme for this show.
Which is?
Well, you're not going to get rich doing any of this
No,
stuff.
you're not getting rich doing it.
Wait, we're not going to get rich?
No.
What?
No. Don't.
The markup on gaming at the time was 40%. So if you in $1, it costs you 60 and
Yeah.
for gaming at the time.
Okay.
Now who was Eric Nin? Because somebody had suggested that Eric Nin is actually Eric Hotz. True or false?
I know the name, but I don't think it's me.
Okay. Because it indicated, Lair of Medusa says that some of the illustrations were done by Eric Nin as well, but it doesn't. It looks to me like it's all our Eric's.
That's his.
Say that,
stage
I don't.
I think what happened was I think Eric Nin did some pencil sketches, and I recreated them. Not use as pencil sketches, but use them as a foundation for doing some of the illustrations.
Okay. It says art and maps, so maybe the maps too. It says art and maps.
That's possible too, because he may have done some sketches of the floor plans, and then whoever. I don't think I drew the floor plans for that.
No, John Edwards and I did all the floor plans on graph paper, just blacking them in and stuff, you know.
And,
John Edwards.
And just so Kelly has not lost his gaming sense of humor, because he creates new proficiency skills, which include coleslaw making.
Coleslaw.
That's one of my favorites. Yes.
And this is what I want for our characters that we currently
Right.
have.
We have to ask Carlos.
Because we're fishermen, right?
We
I'm
are-
a fisher
we are
woman. Oyster shucking.
Oyster shucking.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
If people are, my brother, he's a really bad role player. And whoever's the worst role player at the end of the night, I give him a useless proficiency skill like that.
Now James is interested.
Yeah, this is good.
Yes.
This is good.
James is a DM. He likes this.
I have tons of them that I create. I was doing them one a week. I would just get this inspiration to do it, you know? And then some are based on real life skills. I had a friend, he has a hard time coping, and that's a skill. So I did a thing on coping. stuff like that. Just really cool ones recently. Beheading as a skill. Beheading. That's a good one. Like if you're rolling 18 or higher and you do a wisdom roll, Conan is. If you're ever reading Conan magazines, he's always beheading people.
Right.
Because if you're a warrior, that's your skill. It doesn't matter if the guy's got 2,000 hit points. You cut his head off, there you go. And a warrior, it's only available to warriors and stuff, right? Can't have a magic user with beheading. But then I got impaling skills for guys with puncture weapons, and then I got another one, eviscerating, or I can't remember what it's called, but it's for gutting people. So that's the brutal ones. They're practical, but they're brutal. And then I have ones that are psychological. I have a list of about 200 to 300 proficiency skills.
We need to get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It should be a book, Useless Proficiency Skills.
Not useless, interesting.
Well, I know, but it's a funny title.
Right.
Well,
I like
the joke was if they're really bad, I say I'm going to make you take pottery.
That's right.
As a pottery. That was the joke. You're going to make you take pottery.
But Eric, did you continue to play? Have you continued to play throughout the past several decades?
I mean, D&D?
Yes, or any role-playing games, correct.
Not because when I worked for Columbia, we had to play Robin Crosby's version, which became Hardmaster.
Okay.
So we weren't allowed to really mention D&D.
The game that shall not be mentioned. That's right.
Yeah. So and some of the derivatives and some of the ideas that came from other games we were working with, but after a while it was all Hardmaster, and I found it was better that I didn't know how to play, and I just basically just followed what people wanted as illustrations and maps and whatever, and not get wrapped, because I was also working for other companies then, and it gets confusing as to what system you're working with. And the reality is that, like Kelly would just give me an idea, and I would run. Same with, if you're working for like White Wolf, they give you a bunch of ideas, you run with it. I didn't really have to know the game system. As long as I understood gaming, I was fine.
Right.
And if I had any specific questions, I could ask.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And Kelly, how about you? Did you continue to play after you moved out of the Vancouver area?
Yeah, off and on. I have right now I have an El Qadim campaign I've been running for about 6-7 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and because I love that. Now what I did was it took 8 years of planning and 30 years of buying figures, because it's hard to find Arabic figures. Okay, guys with turbans and stuff. So I've been collecting for years the figures, building them up, Lord of the Rings figures and all this stuff, and historical. See, I was lucky at the time when I moved back here. Rapham had their factory in Cambridge, just outside of town here. I used to go right to the factory and buy figures, and there were figures that never ended up in the stores. Never. It's hard to find guys with plate mail and lances. I got tons of them. I just bought them right from the factory, wholesale. This is years ago. This is in the 80s. Okay, so as you know, I'm big time. I had a group that was about 14 people. It was huge. It's a lot. Now I have 3. And they drive from far. They drive from an hour each, from an hour and a half away for my gaming, which I'm really happy about. They're good players. It's always fun. You got to have a good laugh during gaming. That's a good session when you laugh, and especially at someone else's expense.
Well, yeah, that's the whole game.
That's DMing, isn't it?
That's right.
That's
why you DM, so you can mock people.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, we have a couple. We do have a couple of questions. So. This one is from Eric, for Eric. So you, as far as how has artwork changed, fantasy art from back in the 80s till now, or whenever? And do you prefer to, let's say, work on art or maps? Doesn't
matter to me whether it's art, whether it's illustration of people or maps or scenery, but the artwork has changed. And that when I get a lot of my commissions now are for color work. Because people are publishing in PDF format, and they don't have to worry about the cost of color. A lot of people aren't producing books; they just sell PDF. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the artwork I have to do now is in full color. Where back in the day, only a handful of companies, even TSR, only did a little bit of color at that time. And Columbia only started doing color probably in the late '90s, about the mid '90s. They started doing a lot of color, so that's what's changed. Like at one time, there was like no color, and then all of a sudden, it's nothing but color, including floor plans. So that's what's changed in the artwork. So there's more work for me to do to get a piece done, because you have to. Otherwise, black and white's actually pretty quick, but color is another element added to it. So that's what's changed. And technically, their artwork has to be better now, because I think people are getting, they want to see better artwork.
Yeah, I mean, the internet obviously democratizes a lot of this, and as the bar gets higher and higher, I mean, just over the decades, people are able to see the best of anything, and they can aspire to it. So, this is for Eric and then Kelly. What's inspirations from the time? Obviously Kelly would tell you, hey, I need a dragon. If you've never seen one, what kind of influences did you have drawing this? And then Kelly, what were your influences in D&D or fantasy? As far as how you got into not just into the game, but into fantasy. So Eric, please go first.
For where I got inspiration to do the illustrations?
That's right. Yeah.
Well, even back when I was working, there's like Frazetta. Definitely an influence. His skill with pen and ink is amazing, because he does tonal valleys with weighted lines, which is really nice. So that's where I've got a lot of my inspiration from, because a lot of my friends own these books. Like guys I D&D'd with had these books. I just borrowed from them to get inspiration. And again, like most of my ideas, I prefer following what somebody wants. Like that's why I got along so well with TSR and all the other art directors from all the other companies, because I followed orders. They wanted something, and I made sure I followed what they wanted. I didn't create surprises for them.
Right.
There's a lot which they complained about with other artists. They would say, "Well, we wanted this and we got that. So can you fix this?" That's quite common. So they like that, and that's how I prefer working anyhow.
Yeah, it's sort of like in music. You're a session player. You're here to do a part. You do your part.
Yeah.
You're not trying to reinvent this genre. So that's interesting.
Yeah. And I was told by a lot of art directors that I'm reliable that way, and no surprises. They don't have to, get things redone and spend more time than they expect. So I always got things on deadline because of that. Because again, it started with working with Kelly, then going from there.
And so Kelly, your influences as far as fantasy books, because obviously you took it to the next level. Not everyone tries to build a magazine, modules. I mean, a lot of people do their homebrew, but to really think, hey, I have something really unique to say, I'm going to do all this, and travel around the country to do that. So what was your influences?
Even today, when I do modules, it's almost like programming for a video game. What happens if the guy goes left? What happens if he goes right? What happens if he goes up? What happens if he goes down? What happens if he just stays there, right? That's a lot of work. And I'm constantly doing that with my gaming. It's a lot of work, because you may put all this work in, and what happens if it goes right and he doesn't go right? Mm-hmm. So, and at the time, I used to go to the arcades all the time and play. There was a game called Dragon's Lair.
Oh, my goodness. Yep. Oh, yeah.
Sure. Took 2 tokens.
Took 2 tokens.
Still upset about that.
Right.
It cost a lot of money compared to the other games. Dirk the Daring, but it was animation, and it was hilarious. It was just hilarious. It was like watching a cartoon. So I got that at the time. I remember at the time, as a D&D'er, you got off watching He-Man, which is pretty bad.
Right.
But He-Man was the closest thing to that fantasy type thing that was out. He-Man, the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon was just making me throw up. That was just, what I'm talking about.
It was horrible.
It was horrible.
I think people look back and they're trying to make it a spin. It was the A team of D&D. Everyone. No one died. I'm like, please kill the unicorn. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? I apologize.
That's okay. But sometimes you go, wow, a lizard man or an orc, or a beholder. It's like the first Dungeons and Dragons movie was horrible.
Oh yeah,
horrible. They can't. I keep hearing they're going to do a new one, and they're going to get it right, hopefully. But
yeah.
They were really bad. The Beastmaster, all those movies from the early 80s were just horrible, but you grabbed what you could. I never stole ideas from them. Because I had so many of my own original ideas. I still do. And they're very warped. That's right. So they're in this village, and the guy one guy has a distillery, a whiskey distillery. So I actually built with all these copper pipes and stuff this distillery. Okay, but he's underhanded. The guy actually has a meth lab too. So he's got this crystal ball with a meth lab. Now here's what it gets interesting. The last session. The one player has a water elementalist. So they're in the desert, so she's always looking for a place to get water to create a water elemental. So she thinks, I'll just take it from this distillery. But she's also, besides taking it from the whiskey, she's taking it from the meth lab. So I said, oh my God, it's a meth elemental, and I don't know what's going to happen with that. But I said, I'm going to have to look up the effects of meth on an elemental. You always see it on the news, right? These crazed people. So this is the kind of warp stuff that I bring into the game. There you go, a meth elemental.
Well, if you're like De Niro, though, shouldn't you take a little bit?
That's right, take a little bit. That's exactly.
So you actually know?
The methamental.
The methamental.
The methamental.
I love it. It writes itself.
Is it?
So that's tonight. Tonight I got gaming tonight, okay? I got gaming tonight, and they're going to find out. They don't even know about that yet.
Reveal.
Except lose control of elemental. It's lose control because it's going to go on a meth rage. And what do you do with a water elemental that's gone on a meth rage?
Oh,
I
no.
want to play.
Yeah, I feel like we should just have your brother leave your computer there, and we'll call in later.
Yeah.
And we'll just call in and play. Sounds great.
Or at least just watch.
We'll just watch. Yeah. No, I want to play. I'll play the meth elemental. That sounds pretty good. That sounds amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, James has experience.
With meth? Does this body look like I do meth? No. Everyone.
Have you seen Breaking Bad?
No. Well,
he didn't do. Did he do meth?
No, he did not.
He didn't do it.
That's
you
right.
don't use your own.
He didn't use his own product. So.
Okay, so I noticed something here, Kelly. Because we've been doing the Have You Ever Played a Gnome Fighter Illusionist trying to save your village?
Right.
And the baddie is Maximus, an evil illusionist. Do you, Kelly, remember the name of the father?
That's right, of the father.
Of the evil magic user in Lair of Medusa.
My God, you guys.
Should be pretty easy, don't you think?
I have no idea.
Daryl.
I have no idea.
He has no idea.
Maximus. So, here's the question. Are these the same people?
The name is the same. That's what he's trying to say. Is it this? Is
really?
it like a? Yeah, is it an overarching person?
It is. So what it says was, so Egron has a pool. And it says this was a present for Egron from his father Maximus, an evil magic user who still inhabits the island, and the baddie is in the gnome fighter.
Yes.
Illusionist is Maximus, though he's an illusionist.
Who killed the cleric with the golem? That's right.
That's right.
I'm listening to you when you do this, as opposed to ignoring you like most of the time.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Exactly.
Should we do this? Because I'm sure Eric probably needs some sleep.
Right, yeah.
Right? Because he's got to go to work today.
He's actually, for those, again, thank you, Eric. You basically have had no sleep, and you probably need some meth.
Yeah.
So
meth
perhaps Kelly can work that out, send the meth elemental to you. But so before you go, Eric, we want to do this little thing, but what are you working on today?
What am I working on today?
Yeah, if there's anything you want to promote.
Not literally today.
Not literally today.
I for the last 5 months I've been working on artwork for an art show coming up, but it's landscape illustration, paintings. So that's what I was working on today.
That's awesome.
Well, and they're gorgeous. I encourage people to go to, and tell me if this is right. It's Eric Hotz -portfolio.com.
Yes. Yeah, and the artwork that's on the homepage, that's one of the pieces for the art show.
Okay.
It's gorgeous, and there's links there to a lot of the fantasy work that you've done, which is
yes.
amazing.
Not all of it, of course, but just some highlights, some black and white, some color work, and other types of artwork I've done over the years.
Yeah, so you might be able to see.
Yeah, that's true. There's a PDF. That's some of that's done in sort of the archaeology style I was working on.
Do you still take commission work for fantasy? Would you do that still?
I actually have 2 commissions already. Right, I'm working on. I can't really tell you who it is.
Sure.
But
is it Delft?
One's from a software company that wanted me to do woodcut style of 150 icons, full color.
Wow.
And another one is 18 illustrations for an RPG game.
Awesome.
And it's funny. It's from an RPG game. This is common when the RPG games kind of folded. A lot of the people came back and bought out the rights to the old magazines and the old companies. So a lot of the guys who are now running the companies are all these like art directors' assistants that I knew back 20, 30 years ago, and now they run the companies, and because they love doing it. Now they're retired, or they got a full-time job. They don't have to worry about money, so they like doing it on the side.
That's awesome.
And I guess it's PDF publishing again, so I don't think they have to worry too much about printing on paper and paper stock, all that kind of stuff.
Well, we are preparing for our convention, GROGTAK 2020 here in Orlando in October, and so we may need some artwork. So if that's something you'd be willing to, we could commission. We would.
Yeah, I could look at it. Sure.
That would be great. As opposed to us sending random artists, that we would love to, have the tie-in and appreciate your time and someone who's been in the business for so long and influenced so many other people. So that would be awesome for us. That would be great.
Absolutely.
Sure. Keep me in the loop.
Absolutely. So, and we'll put in our show notes the link to your site, and we certainly encourage our listeners, and on the podcast when we do that, we'll take care of that. That's right. And one of our folks is that there's some game publishers who are watching right now. There actually is some folks who are watching who are publishers, and they're always looking for folks who not only are great artists, but have the tradition and understand the background of what we're trying to accomplish. That's super cool.
Well, I wouldn't recognize anybody who wasn't doing this in the early 80s. It stops for me at
1985.
85.
Is really, you went to a cryogenic freeze at that point.
Big time, yes.
Yes.
I did. I just came out of it a couple of years ago.
Exactly.
Well, shall we do the, this won't take long, because I know, as I mentioned, Eric probably needs some sleep because he's got to work today. So
I got to work in about 4 hours.
And maybe Eric, if you want, you can we can let him go now.
Of course,
if he wants to. Yeah, so Eric,
if he doesn't want to hear in jibber jabber, we'd be more than happy to leave. Thank you so much. But we want to have.
I got to interject, Eric. It was always a pleasure working with you. You're always on schedule. I always loved your work. His styles, he do pointillation one time. I didn't even ask him. Remember you do pointillation different.
Pointillism.
I always liked that. Yeah. And they had a bit of a historical flair to them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Besides fantasy, they had a historical flair. I like that. And I was always happy with his work. I can't think I ever didn't like his stuff. It was always a pleasure to work with him. You're a good man, Eric. It's good to hear you from you again.
Well, it's good to see you too. I always wondered where you were.
A lot of people thought I was dead.
Well, I heard from Rolly, and Rolly said he contacted you about 5 years ago. So that's so I figured you're still around.
He calls me almost every day. He's a good man. He cares about me. Well, he used to game like 70. And Rolly used to game every day with me. He's my work. He knows. So keep at it. I'm very proud. When I went to Harn, I was very happy for you, and I didn't know you went to TSR. That's good though. That's another good feather in your cap.
That's awesome. Yeah. But now you guys have Skype, so just ask your brother Kelly. Can you come over so I can call Eric? So you don't have to go through us mediators here. So
true.
It's not like I'd like to call Eric. Can you guys get online and do that? So you have the connection now. So that's part of it. I left New York years ago, and it's always nice when you catch up with people 20, 30 years on to see what they're doing. So Eric, thank you so much.
I feel like that long. It's like we're looking at these what you're showing me in terms of artwork. It brings back memories, and it just feels like it was like maybe 10 years ago, not 30, 35 years ago.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Dan's done a lot of work getting ready for this, and we really appreciate you coming on in the literally the middle of the night for you.
Yes,
so.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
No, I enjoy this. It's fun.
Well, we'll do it again then.
So, but Kelly, stay on. So, Eric, we can let you go.
That's
you
right.
can go try to get some sleep if you can.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
And we have your contact now. So if we want to do some artwork, or if you want to come on and promote something, you have an open invitation. Just send us a note. We'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, have a good night.
Thank you.
Or good morning.
Take care. Good to see you.
Okay. All right, and Kelly, you stay on for a second because we would love to have you go through your own. Have you ever played a gnome?
That's right.
Fighter illusionist.
Okay.
See how you do. I'm ailing.
That's right.
I think I've lost 6 hit points. That porcupine got me. So if you may recall, this is you are a gnome, and the lawful good cleric Cedric the Wise has been killed, if I recall correctly, right? Cedric, he created a clay golem to assist him, but because of the people's trust in Cedric, they soon grew accustomed to this figure of clay. All was fine until an evil illusionist named Maximus infiltrated the cleric's abode, killing Cedric in his sleep and somehow gaining control over the golem, which he used to rape and pillage the village. And a gnome has been sent to try to put an end to it. Maybe you could mention real quickly, I think it's wonderful, and I know that one of the letters that was sent into you at the magazine really complimented this series. How did you come up with the idea of have you ever played a whatever? Because I know it changed. Sometimes it was Paladin, sometimes it was Fighter Illusions.
It's usually because I had a gamer, one of the players, play one of those. And it's as a DM, I go, okay, this is new. And I got to deal with this character and the different dynamics of the character, there was strengths and weaknesses. So it gives me inspiration to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The gnome. Yeah. Not many people pick gnomes. They don't.
Oh, I'm the gnome fan.
He's the gnome. Where's your cup?
I've seen the show. I know you're the gnome
See,
fan.
he knows.
I know.
Look what I got you.
I want Eric Hotz. No, because that's not this is a joke gnome. These are not D&D gnomes. See, this is...
Yeah, sometimes I give those to characters, to players, as a joke.
Right?
That's why
This is we're making it worse. Well, that's obviously your intent. Look at that. What damage do you think this did? Would you give me 1 to 3?
You have 1 point of damage.
No, I've got that secondary. No, I've got that skill.
Eviscerating?
Eviscerating, not oyster shocking.
That's right.
Eviscerating.
Eviscerating, nice.
Oh, gosh.
That's the skill I'm talking about. I created a proficiency skill for eviscerating.
No, I'm planning a gnome, right? I don't know what we'd call it. Campaign
the gnome
world?
Campaign, the Gnome Worlds, or something like that.
The Gnome Realms.
The Gnome Realms.
The Gnome Realms. I should Eric Hotz. He's done gnomes.
He's done gnomes.
Work in gnomes.
That'd be awesome.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be super cool.
Okay.
And I like that people were harassing you with lots of titles for your things. That was amazing.
That was not.
That was awesome.
It's not helping.
See, the internet is a wonderful thing, Kelly. We got the social media now, and we have a running global campaign to either promote gnomes or destroy them, and so that's what this is about. So
the Gnomazons.
The gnomes, yeah.
See, they think they make fun of gnomes, and they don't realize they're being gnome-like when they make fun of gnomes. All right, moving on. All right, here we go. Are you ready, Kelly?
Okay.
We're on to C, number 3. So we've already, what did we get past? We got past a porcupine.
Right.
Giant, of course. It's D&D, right? And the first thing we got by was, what did we get by the first time? Yeah. Okay.
It was a fake something.
Yeah. What do? You attack with the silver.
Yeah.
Attack with the silver dagger. It was some sort of.
It was some werebore.
Oh, that's right. I think it was.
It's a werebore.
Yeah. Okay. Finally, you reach the entrance to Maximus's lair. Yet no door can be seen in the solid rock face you are at. Lucky for you, Garth told you about the secret door, which must be opened by a sequence of taps on the stone. Slowly a door comes in view and creaks open to reveal an empty entry chamber in which you walk into. As you proceed, the chamber narrows to a 10-foot wide corridor going south. After lighting a torch, you see that there is an opening from the right about 30 feet down the corridor. As you cautiously walk up, you suddenly hear something running around the corner towards you. Into view pops about a dozen kobolds screaming at you, "Kill, kill, kill the invader," in common. Ooh. What do? There are 10 choices. I think I might as well just roll a die 10 based on my luck. Don't you think? Random is better than me trying.
For you, you have a better chance.
Random, yes.
Right.
C1. Attack them immediately with the silver dagger. Now, keep in mind, you've used some of your spells, buddy. That's why you've been fine. You've done a bunch of stuff.
You mean I've actually played a gnome illusionist fighter?
Correct.
Right.
Whereas I've done that. Hey,
okay.
1E is all about resource management, my friend. Okay, thank you, Kelly. C1, attack them immediately with silver dagger. Well, I don't know. I need a silver dagger on them. C2, use Staff of Fear on them with dagger ready on the other hand. Well, that sounds good. I don't know what a Staff of Fear does, but it sounds good to me.
Yeah.
C3, attack immediately with short sword. There's so many of them. C4, change self into kobold quickly. Then walk up to them saying, "Ho, friend," in common, with dagger ready if this plan to get out of this fails. C5, ooh, I like this one. Cast color spray on them with dagger ready if spell fails on them. C6, cast dispel illusion or read scroll of same spell at this obvious illusion, then walk past them with mace ready in hand in case it fails. C7, cast invisibility, then run past them with mace in hand just in case. C8, cast invisibility, then slowly and quietly try to go around them with dagger ready in case of ... C9, cast audible glamour and make noise of many gnomes coming from the chamber, pulling out mace for yourself for defense. Oh, that's very creative. I like that. C10, use staff of fear on them, then attack with sword. So that's different than 2 because that was dagger. I kind of like the color spray.
There's a bunch of good ones there.
There are good. Well, that's the one that I liked about this is there were multiple ones that could work, and of course multiple ones that could not work.
Yes.
So, all right. Anybody? You want to select first, James? Because Kelly wrote this, so he probably
Right. He knows the best answer.
I mean, it's only been 35 years.
Right. I'm sure he went through and figured it out. Well, I feel like that. Because we're supposed to be a gnome illusionist, so I'm going to go with the invisibility.
Okay.
Which one is that?
Okay, so
7 or 8?
So C7 is cast invisibility, then run past them with mace in hand.
Yeah.
C8 is cast invisibility, then slowly and quietly try to go around them with dagger ready.
I'm going to go with C8.
Okay.
Because if it's an illusion, then I don't have to worry about it.
Bucky Argyle has a question mark after number 9 on the chat room, so I don't know if that's his choice. Cast audible glamour and make noise of many gnomes. Bucky's the one. He's been with us the whole time, hasn't he?
He has.
So, Bucky was with me getting hit by the porcupine, I think.
Yes,
we both picked that. Yeah.
Right.
We tried to talk to it.
That's true.
All right, so Bucky's going to C9. All right, Kelly, what is your choice?
That's right. Well, wait, but hold on, Kelly. You need to pick yours first.
You know what'd be great is if Kelly got killed in his own thing.
Right, that would be amazing.
See, I take bigger risks now than but one of my skills is, not many people know this word, I'm an actuary. An actuary is a person that can calculate odds in a split second. And as a DM, that's a good skill.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
You got to calculate odds. Someone asks me a question, I say, I got a 5% chance, right? Whatever. So what I like initially when I heard it was I like the idea of attacking with the silver dagger, because kobolds have 1 to 4 hit points, and a dagger will do 4 maximum, but you're probably going to take some damage. Right. However, kobolds and gnomes are bitter enemies. Right.
That's right.
So you're going to have bonuses to hit those. So my gut tells me that I'll probably get killed by silver daggers because I want to save those other spells for later.
I see.
Hoarding my because you might need them for later.
See, resource management.
Right. So he's going to go with the silver dagger. Which one is that?
That is. Let me see. That's C1. Attack them immediately with silver dagger.
Now, I think that's probably going to cost me 15 hit points, but we'll see what happens.
That'd be hilarious.
Right. So what do you
I'm doing color spray. I love color spray.
Color spray.
Remember that time I did color spray on you guys? Killed the whole party, total party kill?
Right. Now, you know that only potentially affects only 6 of the kobolds, right? You understand?
I know, but they're going to be so scared at that point.
Okay.
They see a big wizard.
That's right.
Well, a little wizard.
A little wizard.
The little wizard.
The little wizard.
Do you remember that movie Wizards?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
We were talking about Excalibur. Okay, so Bucky's going with number 9, which is what?
That is cast. I like this one. Cast audible glamour and make noise of many gnomes coming from the chamber, pulling out mace for yourself for defense. That's.
Kelly is 1.
Let's see what happens.
Kelly is 1. James is 8. We said, or which one am I? 7 or 8.
You are.
I want to sneak past him.
Which one? Okay. Oh, that is.
Sneak past.
C8.
C8, and you are. What is yours? Because I'm recording these down, so you don't change them later. Color spray.
All right, I am color spray. I'm C5.
C5.
So Kelly's C1.
Yep.
I'm C5, and then we've got an 8 and a 9, right?
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. We have a good point that David reminded us. What level is he? Fighter.
He is. Oh, that's right. Multiple attacks for less than 1. That's right.
So Kelly could be right.
Yeah. Not a thief. He's a fighter.
He's a fighter illusionist.
That's right, because as you.
Not a thief illusionist. That makes a big difference for combat.
And as you may recall, right, he gets for creatures with less than 1 hit die, You get one attack per
This
level,
is why
right?
he's a master.
Yes.
Oh man, this is why I'm a better DM than I am a.
Well,
where
who
is-
says who?
It's right. They're both terrible.
Who's telling you this?
I don't know.
6th level, he'd get 6 attacks.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's why. This is why we have. This
Let's
is
do
why we have people like the Chamberlain, Most August of Australia, and Kelly.
We're here to learn.
Right.
That's the way I view it. Is we're here to learn.
Through our ignorance, people learn. We're the example for others.
Exactly.
All right, let's see what the answers are.
Here we go. Okay, C1. This was Kelly, right?
Yep.
I think it's gonna get me killed.
No, you did pretty well. You kill these. What? You kill these illusionary kobolds.
Oh,
they're illusions.
they're illusions.
But you take 2 hit points in melee because he doesn't realize. I guess
right.
No, you did very well. They were illusions.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not.
Oh man, I got a bad. I'm thinking I just wasted a spell. All right. What are you on to C5?
C5.
This spell does not work on illusory. I'm terrible. I like playing gnomes. They don't like me. Oh, okay. You got 3 hit points. I'm down to 9. I think I'm down to 9.
think you're
I've
dead.
taken 9. No, I'm not dead, am I? Not dead. Where are my hit points? You see hit
No,
points?
I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't?
You've been hit every time.
It doesn't matter if I'm alive or dead?
You've literally taken damage every time.
Okay.
This will be the first damage I take, probably.
Okay, so what, to C7?
8.
C8. Same as C7. These illusory kobolds do not see you because you don't think they would. You are.
Oh, did it take
love
no
it.
damage? Huh.
It's not over till it's over.
I didn't take any damage.
We'll see what happens in the 4th quarter, right?
So just for those keeping at home, I haven't been touched yet.
Yeah.
I know my
There
enemy.
may be some you pick that will give you no damage, but down the road when you can't pick those high level spells, then you're screwed. Then you take a lot of damage.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? You got to spread them out.
Well, I had the worst of both worlds. I lost my spell, and I took damage.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Let's do C9.
C9. No effect on illusory kobolds. Take 1 hit point of damage.
Okay. Sorry, Bucky, you still took it down. But see, my thing, I'm playing. We're not as fortunate as you.
Go ahead. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
you
I have
got
50.
you
Is this
got
50 hit points?
so
I'm
you got
doing
a ton.
fine.
We assume that we're not going to play for 7 years. That eventually we're going to get tired of this, and we're not going to. I'll never make it to the end of the module, so it's always play now. So I agree. If we were playing the long game, we would definitely do that.
Kelly,
That was a lot of fun.
Can
Thank
I ask
you, Kelly.
Can I ask you a real quick question? You had an ad in here that said Lair of Medusa coming soon, but this is the December '82 edition, and my understanding is this came out in '82. I know you probably can't answer this; it's been so long, but it seemed like this would have already been out by that point.
It was just to compliment. It was an ad to compliment it, right? Like tooting our own horn sort of thing. I had a media. Got to remember it was my media for my products,
Right.
which is great, right? And it's free. Cost me a page, big deal.
Right.
So
Did you start with?
I probably.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say, did you start with modules first and then do the magazine, or you said I'm going to do a magazine and?
Oh, magazine first. Magazine
Gotcha.
was first. Yeah, magazine, and then I just got inspired to do some modules. I'm very critical about even TSR stuff. The early stuff.
Sure.
They're sometimes too vague, and not everything should be to attack you. It should be things to help you. And I always felt there was if you had a druid, you were screwed.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're a druid, you were screwed. So I like to throw plants in and insects and birds and shit like that. I still do that a lot. Butterflies, moths, that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Look at Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings, right? He talks to the butterfly. Butterfly goes and gets some giant eagles. I think that's a great thing. Great skill.
And let me mention this because you reminded me of this. Something you said reminded me of something I really liked in this module, which I think should be done in all modules. You mentioned for each room, you identify how big the door is,
Yep.
what it's made of, is it locked? You also indicate what noise is in the room if someone attempts to listen and is successful.
Yeah.
And you also indicate what the smell of the room is when you open the door. I think that's brilliant.
Yes.
I think that's brilliant. So maybe you could talk a little bit about why you decided to do that and then why you felt it was important to include that.
smell is a very important factor, and it's never used a lot. When you're watching a movie, you can't really pick up on that, right? Like, you can't smell what they smell. But when you're in I used to explore a lot as a kid. We used to go down the sewers and shit. And you smell, there's different smells, right? I have a really good sense of smell, which is why I feel sorry for dogs, because I smell people all the time. You know what I'm saying? I can smell people. And there was a guy the other day, and I said, this girl had it. I said, I can't stand him. He smells so bad. And it's not just his socks, it's his whole everything. Because I have almost as good as Logan. You know what I'm saying? I can smell people. And that plays an important part. And also, you can smell something. It'll bring you back to a memory. Maybe grandma's kitchen or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Smell is big. So I thought that if I could, it's usually, does it smell damp? Does it smell dusty? Does it smell like death? Even worms. Worms have a smell. Like, it's weird. As a kid, we play with ants. Ants have a smell. And they're just, it's overlooked. So I tried to put as much detail as I could because of that. I wanted to be so different from TSR and all the other ones, you know. You can't have too much detail. And when I do my games, like during the village right now, tons of detail about everything.
Well,
it's too much work.
It is a lot of work, but it certainly makes things easy for the DM.
Right.
Because that's the first thing you need to know. The party always wants to know things like, okay, what's the door? They'll ask these things. What's the door made of? And usually it never says anything about, you got to kind of fumble around. Oh, wood, whatever.
Right.
You make it up. I listen.
Does it open in or out? They always want to know that.
Does it open in or out? So I thought that was very clever. I think I used that in the tournament module. I can't remember if I did or not, but it's something I like to think about and include when I'm writing stuff. A couple of other things I liked. Your sense of humor was on display again with the sword. Sek. SSSSECK works against snake-like creatures.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Right, so there's, as you can see.
I forgot that.
Yeah, there's Sek.
Again, that's Eric. I said to Eric, do that for me. He did that sword for me. He was great that way. It's a snake sword, and he did it for me. He was fantastic to work with.
And can I add, and I also noticed that he would write his name backwards. Hotz. It's probably hard to see, but he would write it backwards.
Put it over here as well.
I don't know why he did that, but every artist has their thing.
Yeah.
And he did that. Yeah, he's a very humble person, humble about his skills.
Yeah.
Very talented.
Yeah, the artwork's wonderful. And also, I'd like to ask you quickly about the Greek theme, because I know it's Medusa. Yeah. And I wanted to know if it was coincidental that, you have two Greek deities. You have the goblins have been worshiping Hecates, I think. I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a cleric in there who is a cleric of Poseidon. And yes. I really played on that and tried to create a Greek theme. Was that your intent?
I'm a big fan. I have 3 boxes. Like, I got a lot of figures. I got 3 boxes of Greek figurines, all in bronze armor, which I love. I love the look of the shields and the helmets and, Clash of the Titans type shit. And if you look at most of your monsters, most of your monsters' mythology, they're Greek, right?
Right.
The Medusa, a lot of them, the Cyclops. And I always like to throw in some Greek type things in any game. I got a Cyclops in this village zone right now. It's not a Greek based thing, but I threw in a Cyclops. I'm going to do stuff like that. So, yeah. And I used to run a lot of Greek campaigns with my gamers. They were fans, so they like that sort of stuff.
And I think, and also what I liked is a lot of this reminded me of kind of old school. I mean, it is old school, of course, dungeons, because I think you had these old rooms where there had been a hunchback that had been on display, the famous Hunchback of Glimpton, right? Written in Goblin. Here's the famous Hunchback of Glimpton. And you had a lot of very unusual rooms in there, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
The Goblin Performers guest room, where they would I think somewhere they had props, and a puppeteer.
Wow.
The goblins had they had a puppeteer there. They had puppet shows. That surprised you?
It does to me because it makes me feel a little bad when I slaughter them.
Yeah, you don't understand them. They have families. They like puppets.
Because in our group, there's no talking to them. I mean, you're always trying to role play the goblins and try to be sensible, and we set them on fire. That's typically what happens.
Yeah, you don't, right?
That's terrible.
It's terrible.
I'm sorry, Kelly. What were you going to say?
That's my weird sense of humor coming in. I got in this Arab campaign, slavery is alive and well, so they're always coming across cages full of black slaves. And two of the characters are black jungle rangers, right, from the jungles, and they hate slavery. So in the last session, the guy's playing the one girl sees these slaves and sees a half-orc with a plate of food, bringing food to these things, and kills this guy that brings the food, thinking he's a slaver, but he's not. He's just the guy that was hired to bring food. So I would say as a joke, his last thoughts were, oh, what a way to go. And all this for minimum wage. Because all he's doing is bringing food for these slaves, and he gets killed for it.
Killed for 3 copper pieces.
That's right. Well,
yeah.
Dan's thing is he'll pretend that they have little pictures of their goblin family that because of course as soon as the monster is killed, the party jumps on them. They haven't even fallen to the ground and they're looting the bodies. And so he would be like, oh, you find a picture of, have a note, handwritten note from the wife saying, have a good day at work, GROGTALK, or whatever his name is. Right. And we would just toss it aside.
You don't care. It never worked. I tried to make you feel bad. This
was not all quiet on the Western Front where we were concerned about the other guy. But I think you need to do that, or else they would just become faceless mobs that, it becomes back to that video game thing. So that's a good DM tip for people to remember. So you're still playing, you're still hosting. Are you still writing at all?
Well, I'm writing all the time because I have storylines going on wherever they're going. Like there's the big story, there's the small story, there's the little village story. It's hard to explain, but I put a lot of work into it. But you got to have a bit of history, a bit of motivation is important. Why does this guy go to work? Why does this person work? Like, for instance, 2 people got killed in this, and there's going to be the centaurs. They're the law here, and they run a tight ship. And so these people are being tracked down as criminals. Of course, they're D&D party members, hack and slashers.
Yeah.
But the law is they're gonna have to pay to the law. Whenever they do stuff, there's usually a consequence or a reaction. They're fighting a cult, a fire cult, almost like the one on Game of Thrones, fire cult. And now there's a hit put on them. In fact, there's a strike team put together chasing after them. A strike team just made for these guys in this group, they're like a D&D party after D&D party, which is sort of neat. And it's got a troll and a beholder and a whole bunch of shit working together after them. So I like to put stuff like that. And I'm like your buddy does with the little notes. Here's a lunch bag. Have a nice day at work, honey.
He just never came home.
He just never came home.
Missing. Have you seen this?
Papa. Where's Papa?
On Goblin Milk Jugs.
That's right,
Goblin Have you seen this guy?
Yeah, exactly.
We have one final request from you.
Yes, we do have a request. And this, you may not be willing to do this, but we would like to see if you
and if you can't do this, we understand completely.
If it's naked pictures of me on the net, it's already on the net.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought that was going to be tough.
What?
That was easy.
That was a lot simpler.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Now I did do my Google research. I did find those. I didn't bring those. So we seek for what Gary Gygax
could not get.
I don't know if you're able to you still have the authority to do this, but we'd like to know if you would if you would, on behalf of DELF, give official DELF approval to the GROGTALK podcast.
Yes, to this podcast and to the GROGTALK.
Yes, it would be an official DELF product enhancement. Like that was my friend Ben's idea. He's got a warped sense of humor. He says, we're going to put this right on the front cover. That's his weird humor. I forgot all about that.
Okay.
Yes, you can be official Delft.
Yes.
He'll get a crack out of it. He'll get a kick out of it. He will. Ben will really get a kick out of that.
We got to put that somewhere.
We're going to put it on the website.
Officially approved
by Delft.
Yes.
That's right. So thank you for that tremendous honor.
That was really the only reason we had you on.
Right.
Everything before this was just leading to that.
This is just a workup.
Our work is done.
Something that he could never get.
Yes. Look at him. He's looking at it. He's always got that look.
He's got that look of, you jerks, you idiots. Why?
Yeah, it's the second one. You idiots.
Yes.
It's not you. It's seriously. Yeah, he's not impressed, but I'm impressed. All right.
Well, Kelly, we appreciate your morning spending time with us today.
The sun is up. Look back there.
Right.
The sun has risen.
The sun has risen.
Pretty bright. Can you see it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you have our contact information. If you want to come on, you're working on some. You have a lot of fans out there that are really appreciative of what you're doing. We're on Twitter, and people, we have a good friend of ours, Leroy, he's in, I think, British Columbia, and him and his group are looking for First Encounter. I think, for not only for the Canadian D&D role playing community, but all over, your works stand the test of time. So thank you for your time with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you for putting me through the Lair of Medusa. I haven't looked at that in 30-something years. That's hilarious. But I'm surprised they did well.
My party. Well, the thing is,
I wasn't there.
35 years later, players are very cautious.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they're veteran players, and I enjoyed the part about. And so here's a little spoiler. So stop listening if you want to go through it. That's so hard to find the adventure. Is that the mirrors melt? So everyone, of course, has mirrors, and they're ready to reflect back. But the mirrors melted. But they're very smart, because players nowadays, they grab the knoll and they squeeze information out of they'll charm the knoll or something like that. And so, they're able to bypass a lot of the tricky areas pretty quickly. They got to the evil magic user pretty fast, and had the lightning bolt, but they survived it, and they were able to find their way to Medusa, and so they did well. But it's an entertaining adventure. As I mentioned, I love the sense of humor. It's a lot of fun. It's very hard to find. So the reality is, for people who are listening to this, if they're like, oh, let me go buy Lair of Medusa and run it, that's not going to happen. But I do encourage you to think about maybe, having this be available, maybe through something like Drive-Thru RPG.
Yeah.
You're not going to get rich, of course, but you could probably make a little bit of money anyways,
right.
And at least then it would be available to people to
print
play.
on demand kind of services that are out now. So
if I just scan it as a PDF and people download it, I don't care. I mean, it's old, right? It's first edition, and I am a true grognard by definition.
You are.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
That's the name of our show.
Yeah, GROGTALK.
I love it.
Yeah, and that's really, I really appreciate you saying that, because there are adventures out there where people who own the rights, really, they're not selling it. They don't seem to care about it anymore. They could simply do a PDF. It's their rights.
Right.
It's not TSO. They wrote it. They could simply PDF it and say, here it is, world. And you can do that too, I believe. Kelly, you can put on these sites that it is a free download, or you can have donations, because I know there's a lot of them where it's just a free PDF, like the Beholder contracts, which we're going to be doing, is a free PDF download. Yep. So I encourage you to think about making that. I don't know how Alan Grohe will feel about that, because maybe his investment will decline, but he likes it. This is original, so the investment is still there. But so yes, that I think that would be great. So other people then could go through this fine and fun adventure.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks, guys. It was great. I've never done a podcast before. It was really cool, man.
Well,
okay.
Again, if you want to come on, something comes up, or if you decide, hey, I'm going to put stuff, I think old school grognards, a lot of them kind of not poo-poo. They go, no one cares about it. You have people, if you put something out, people would respond. So you don't have to just keep it to your gamers. You could spread it with others. And if we can help with that, just let us know. We'd love to talk to you again in the future.
I'm going to send you more of my proficiency skill sheets, like farting and stuff like that, and bowling.
Oh, thank you. That would be great. We
I'll
would
send
love
it
that.
to you regularly, okay?
All right. Thank you so much, Kelly. Have a good night. A good day.
Thanks, Kelly.
Here, guys.
You too.
All right. Thank you. That was great.
That was great. Wasn't that great?
That was super fun. And we're DELF approved.
You know what I love? Well, that's the most important. You
That's
got to
right.
get that. I mean, I know I just give you this work, but you got to get that officially approved by DELF. That's got to.
That's going on the website.
That's awesome.
It's going on the website. It's in fact, I need to have something underneath you. Right now, we have our grog icon. I need to put a little text approved by DELF.
Officially.
Of course,
It's got to be exactly like
yes.
that.
Officially. Excuse me. Yep. I got to write that.
Officially approved by DELF.
Yep.
And I think DELF is in cap. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I love is I love having people on the show who are people that we can sort of relate to, that were kind of, I mean, obviously Kelly was doing a lot more than we were because he was putting out a fanzine at the time. But I love not only having the Ed Greenwoods and the Jim Wards on the show, but I also enjoy having the Kelly Villemaires on the show.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
Yeah.
people who were just, you know, were kind of like normal blokes back in the day, you know, but we're playing the game like we were and have a lot of great memories that we can relate to. So that was a lot of fun.
That was and you know, getting folks together who hadn't talked to each other in 35 years. Now, fortunately, they were on good terms after 35 years. You know,
I thought of it, so I sent, so I let Kelly know this morning. Oh, by the way, Eric Hotz might be appearing, and I was a little nervous saying that because I'm like, well,
yeah, he could have stiffed him with a bunch of
he could have
money.
been the $40,
Right.
Maybe he was, and Kelly forgot that it was Eric, and it was awkward.
Yeah.
But Kelly's memory was bad.
Yeah, and
Or
Eric's
it
great.
wasn't.
Eric's obviously a very gracious guy. He stayed up. What? It's 5 in the morning. He was 4:30 in the morning. He's dealing with this.
Both of them to get up that early, and particularly Eric because he goes to bed pretty late and he's got to work today. So thank you so much to Eric for coming on, and so happy to know that Eric went on to such, you know, a distinguished career.
Right.
And that it was great to hear how First Encounter.
And I think we have an
started that.
opportunity because you know we're going to talk about some announcements here. You know, there's an opportunity to work with him, and how cool would that be to have someone from that time to do some work on
I'd
it?
be blown away.
And apparently he does it for free. So.
Well, no wonder he's not getting paid. He's admitting on the air.
Right. Well, because we wouldn't ask for it. Now that we're approved by DELF, we would ask Kelly to ask Eric, hey, I've got this idea
That's right.
for this
It goes to
convention
him.
in Florida.
Right.
Do some artwork.
Oh, so do we need to get? Have we guys gotten DELF approved for everything? Do you think?
I heard a blanket approval.
So like GROGTAK.
GROGTAK is
officially approved by DELF.
Yeah, GROGTAK is officially.
So we don't have
approved.
to keep going back to Kelly because that
No.
would get annoying to him probably. Hey Kelly,
Yeah,
I just wrote this module. Can I get DELF approval?
officially. That's right. I gotta
Official.
Officially approved by DELF.
Because
That's
you
right.
know, there's a lot of people out there that say they're approved by DELF,
Yeah,
but it's not official.
that's right.
I think
That's it.
Gygax Gygax, I think for a time, is my understanding, is claimed he had DELF approval.
Wow.
He never used the word official though. I think as to kind of as to plausible deniability. I never said
Right.
it was official.
Right.
You know.
Right.
All right.
So we've got some announcements, and then
When's break time? I'm getting old.
You need a break.
I think I'm getting old.
Okay, so we need a 5-minute break. Is that what you're saying?
I'm
Okay,
getting old.
so upcoming for those who are, we are, what is unique is we are a live call-in D&D show. That's pretty cool,
That's right.
and officially approved by DELF. So most people could keep going, but we're gonna take a 5-minute break.
That's what you get when it's the real deal.
We're going to do our announcements, but before that, just a quick teaser. We are going to have Carlos from Castle Entertainment do our Greyhawk Hex run when we come back on. So we're going to take a break, get Carlos set up, and do our announcements while he's on, and then we'll do the Hex crawl, and then we'll do the rest of the shenanigans after. Right?
That sounds great.
So we will be back in 5 minutes.
You're listening to GROGTAK, officially approved by
DELF.
DELF.